Okay, can we start?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Any doubts? Any doubts from last session? Social action by Parsons. Okay, so can we start the new session?
Yes, sir.
So what we discussed yesterday, we discussed about social action according to Parsons. Okay, so I'll go for a quick recap so that things will be more clear. Parsons we will go very slow so that we can understand everything in Parsons, so that you will not face any problem with respect to Parsons discussion. So we discussed about action, and I've told you any act consciously performed a social action. So any act consciously performed a social action followed by certain conditions. What are the conditions? Can you tell me the conditions for any action to become social?
It must occur in a situation.
So it should be in a social situation. Then
It should be regulated by some norms and values.
so it should be regulated by norms and values.
Norms.
Then
Oriented towards some investment of energy.
energy, so that's the biological part. Then
Oriented towards
attainment of goal, oriented towards attainment of goal, right? So these are the four conditions which has to be satisfied for any action to become social. Okay. So then what we have discussed is the ideal types of social actions. Can you tell me the ideal types of social actions for Parsons? Ideal types of social action. First one,
instrumental action.
instrumental action.
Expressive.
Yeah, instrumental action, expressive action,
Moral action.
moral action. Any doubt in any of this? Instrumental action, it is similar to which action of Weber? Zweck rational action of Weber. Expressive action similar to which action of Weber?
Affective action.
Affective action, because the emotional component is more dominant. Moral action is
Yes.
similar to
Traditional or personal action. Both.
Traditional.
traditional and
Word rational.
Both.
word rational action of Weber. So this is how we have discussed the ideal types of Parsons. Now you can remember like this: EMI. Okay, so just remember this keyword EMI so that you can get the three ideal types here: instrumental action, expressive action, moral action. So I'm expecting that you don't have any doubt in the different ideal types and how Parsons modified over Weber in terms of definition, in terms of conditions, in terms of ideal types. You can see this theory is actually an extension of Weber's concept of social action. Okay, yeah, Arun, tell me. Tell me, Arun. Arun, you want to say something?
No, sir. No, sir.
I got a message from you.
No, sir. Actually,
Okay. So,
can
yeah.
you draw the diagram, that last class diagram? So in that the arrows, so the norms and values and ideas, they influence the actor, right? So,
Yeah.
So, okay, sir.
What happened?
And this, no, sir. In the PDF and in last class, the arrows were like.
No, I will show you once again. I'll show you. Actor is always goal seeking. Okay, actor is always goal seeking, and you consider yourself. You are an actor, and you are always goal seeking, and you know what is your goal, right? So you have a lot of options. You have a lot of means. Let's say mean 1, mean 2. So different options are there for you. This is, let's say, mean n. So n number of choices are available to you, but you will select any of this. Depends on two aspects. One, what society will say. That is the external aspect, like the values, okay, norms and values, etc. of the society. So one, you hear the society and you will select. Second, you will hear your own motivation. So this is the internal aspect. So based on that, you will select any of the mean. So the mean that you are selecting, the one route that you are choosing will be depending on your own motivation. So this is motivation, your own motivation, and also the value of society. And this can vary in degree. That is what I'm saying. Sometimes your motivation may be more, may not be the value. Okay, in modern society you can see that. So in traditional society, the values are more than your own motivation. So any action that you are taking, it will be combination of your own motivation and the values of society. That means this is the influence of Durkheim. Durkheim says pressure exerted by the collectivity or the society is very important in understanding the individual's action. Whereas this is the influence of Weber. The internal meanings, internal motives is considered more important in understanding the actual reality. So Parson incorporated both internal and external aspect. That means motivational orientation and value orientation. Any action that you're doing, both are there. The problem with Weber was, when we discussed about problem with Weber, Weber is considering only what here. What is the problem with Weber? Only motivational orientation. Only Weber is talking about only this part. So this is what you need to stress on when you discuss about how Parson modified over Weber. So if you get a question on how Parson modified over Weber, everybody will write about this, when you compare with Weber, you will write the definition, you will write the, the conditions, you will see this is what actually the modification, right? People mistakenly believe that because 4 conditions are given by Parson, so this is what the modification. Then in the end, you will talk about ideal types. So you will see Parson is giving 3 ideal types by comprehending Weber's 4 ideal types. So generally people will write like this, but you have to write this. That's why I've told you yesterday. If the question is asked how Weber or Parson modified over Weber, this is a simple diagram which is enough for you to explain. Because you can see in this diagram itself, Parson is talking about an actor who's goal seeking. In case of Weber also, actor, there is a goal seeking. But when it comes to Weber, he only takes this internal aspect. The external reality rests within the mind of the individual, and individual will take action according to that, according to Weber. But for Parson, both are equally important, external as well as internal. That means values of the society as well as your own motivation. Value orientation and motivational orientation. In Weber's approach, only motivational orientation is there. Value orientation is not there. In Durkheim's approach, only value orientation is there. No motivational orientation is there. So this is the mix of both. I hope this is clear. Shubham.
Yes, sir. So actually in PDF the arrows were given wrong, right?
Yeah, no arrows. It's okay.
Yes, sir.
So what you can do is you can write some answers about this, and you can send to me if you have any confusion with respect to this. Especially Parson, you can start writing answers, or you have already done with Thinker, so you can start writing answers. I'm also already started getting few answers, and these are very good answers, especially from Thinkers. Shubham, I will give you your answer tomorrow. I didn't get time today. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so I hope this is clear. This part is clear. So just understand, actor is always goal seeking. Now we are going to extend this in this today's session. Now here, what will be the problem actor face? See, what Parson says is, actions are never occur in isolation. You are not doing a single act. So I am sitting here and I am doing an action. This is not done in isolation, but one act will be followed by different actions. So actions will always occur in constellation. Okay, so you understood, actions are never occurred in isolation. It will be in constellation. Like I am doing an action, you may reciprocate, then I will do some action, you may reciprocate, like that. Actions are never occur in isolation, especially social action. It will be in constellation. So there will be constellation of action, and that is what Parson terms as action system. Okay, so this is clear. What I'm saying is, actions will never, see, I cannot just sit here and I cannot do any single social action. That's a simple logic. So the actions will never occur in isolation. It will be in constellation. So here you don't want to have any confusion. Constellation of action is what Parson calls as action system. Okay, this much is okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now yes, Arun, tell me.
So then this is equal to that condition which said that social action must occur in social situation.
Yes.
So what's the difference between and that?
No, actually, social situation, there can be one single act also. But here, that single act is considered a social action, but generally a single act will not happen. This is a generalization. We are going to generalize theory. So
Okay.
when we are generalizing, I am saying I will not do any single action, but it will be, form part of different actions. Like I am doing something, then further will do something, then further will do something. You keep on doing actions.
So the chain of actions will
Chain of action. That is what constellation of action. Actions will always occur in constellation. There is no end for any action. There is no single action. So that's what action system. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now in society, actions are occur. Like we all are doing actions, and these actions occur in society in terms of different roles. This is a key word here. So you understood this word, what I'm using in which context? I am doing a role here. You are also having a role. What is your role? You people are the students and listening to me. I am also having a role here, and I'm teaching you and you are listening to me. Okay. So this actions that everybody, the action that you are doing, the action that I am doing are done in terms of the roles. Is that okay? So what do you mean by role? Roles are nothing but the actions which are done by individuals in society. Okay, so actually this role is a vital link between individual and society. So this role is actually connecting individual and society. So how we both are connected? It is because of the roles which we are doing, right? You are a student and I am a teacher, so we are connected. So what I'm saying, or what Parsons saying is, the roles are the vital elements which connect individual with the society. So what I said is, actions never occur in isolation, in constellation, and that forms the action system. And actions are done in terms of certain roles. Okay, different people do actions as per the roles which is assigned to them. It could be a bureaucrat, it could be a police, it could be an IAS officer, whatever it is, there should be different roles for different people. So they do actions according to their roles. It could be the role of a father, it could be a role of a mother, it could be a role of a child, and all these are part of social actions. So actions, if you're doing something, it will be as part of the roles which you are supposed to perform. And these roles are actually binding you with the society. So this is actually the link between individual and society. So can we say this is similar to social being concept of Marx? Is it somewhat similar to the concept of social being by Marx?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we will come to that anyway. We will make the comparison towards the end. So basically I'm talking about roles are connecting the individuals and society. Okay, now sometimes while performing the roles, individual may face dilemmas. Okay, sometimes while performing the role, individual may face some dilemma. Now this dilemma is because of what reason? This dilemma is because of this reason. I can select if let's suppose this is my role, okay, and with respect to what I should go for, whether external aspect or internal aspect, my own motivation or the values of society. So which one I should give more importance? If you remember, yesterday I have discussed an example that you are going for UPSC interview. So you have seen a person who met with an accident in the road. So what you will do there? The external aspect, the value system of the society will tell you to help that person, but your own motivation is basically to go and attend the interview. So here, based on this motivational orientation and value orientation, okay, actors' decision with respect to the choice of motivational orientation and value orientation, you will face certain dilemmas. Is this okay? So which one I should go for, whether I should give more importance to society or my own motivation. So this is a dilemma that actor can face. I am talking about can face, then we will come to the different point later. So is this okay now? Like actor will face dilemma with respect to the selection of motivational orientation and value orientation?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
every society, you can actually see these dilemmas in terms of certain patterns. These dilemmas can be seen in terms of certain patterns, and this is what Parsons calls as pattern variables. This is what Parsons calls as pattern variables, and this is the topic of discussion for today. Pattern variables. Directly you will get the question, what do you mean by pattern variables? Explain the concept of Parsons pattern variable, etc. So what I said is, now we will move on to pattern variable, but before that what we said is, I've started off with this action, never occur in isolation but in constellation. This is what Parsons call as action system. Actions performed by individuals is what we call as the roles, and role is the vital link between individual and society. While performing the roles, individual may face dilemma, and this dilemma can be seen in certain pattern. Okay, this can be patterned. That means we will see in terms of ideal types. There can be certain pattern, and that's what Parsons understand as pattern variables. Okay. Now what we need to see is how can you resolve this dilemma. See, the problem is with respect to what? The problem is with respect to the choice, which one you choose, whether the external aspect or the internal aspect. That is actually the problem, right? So if you define it, if you define what to choose, then will there be any problem? If society is defining what to choose, what not to choose, will there be any problem?
No.
No problem, right? So basically this dilemma can be resolved through, you know what, defining role expectations. Defining role expectations. So if you talk about a traditional society, in the example which I have given to you, you have seen a person who met with an accident, but you're going for the interview. So what is the role expected from you there? You will help that person, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but in case of modern society,
Go to the interview.
you will go for the interview. So there is a, you can make it in terms of dichotomous manner, traditional versus modern. So here what I'm saying is, here the role is expected, so you will do accordingly. Modern society like in US and all, nobody will take care, right? Because they know there are different systems to take care of this issue. So you go for your own things. Motivational orientation more important. In traditional society, value orientation is more important. And rather than using this words traditional and modern society, you can even use mechanical solidarity and organic solidarity also. You know that, right? Okay, mechanical solidarity, the norms and values are so strong, and that is actually reducing to modern society that is based on organic solidarity. So here values are reducing means motivation is actually increasing. Are you getting me? Like this is what we have seen in terms of mechanical solidarity is reducing and organic solidarity is increasing, right? This is time with time.
Yes.
So all of you understood this diagram which we have already discussed before?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so yeah. Tell me, Arun.
Nothing, sir. Just a race.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, in traditional society there is no problem because role is expected, so there is no dilemma. In modern society also there is no problem. What role you should do, that is expected, so there also there is no problem. Then in which society you face problem? The societies who are in transition, neither traditional nor modern, not traditional, not modern, not completely traditional, not completely modern, like societies like India. Okay, societies like India, there will be always a dilemma in terms of what we are talking about. This dilemma in terms of what, with respect to the choice of motivational orientation and value orientation while performing the action. The dilemma is basically with respect to the choice of what? Tell me. Choice of motivational orientation or value orientation. Yes. So individual while performing the action, which orientation should be there, that choice is what actually creating the dilemma, whether your action should be oriented towards society or oriented towards your own motivation. So that is the dilemma. So that dilemma is what Parsons understand in terms of pattern variables, and Parsons mentioned 5 pattern variables. Okay, so now what we are going to see is the 5 pattern variables. So are you able to understand what is the concept of pattern variable? Direct question, sure shoot question. If you get it, you have to attempt it, must attempt, and you will score very high. If you can write in this way, whatever I have explained in that context, in that way, if you can write like this with this clarity, So that's why I'm repeating it again and again. This clarity is required. Not just, most of the people will write this just by hurting. Mugging up this, they will write it without actually knowing the concept, without actually knowing even how the dilemma is coming. Okay, so I hope you understood, and write, you can even write from your side. So what you need to do here, once again I'll tell you, actions will never occur in isolation but in constellation, and Parsons call it as action system. Actions are performed in terms of roles, and while the roles are the vital link between individual and society, and while performing the role, individual may face dilemmas, and this dilemmas can be patterned, and Parsons understand this in terms of pattern variables, and that's what we are actually going to discuss. And this dilemmas can be solved by role expectation, and the role is expected in traditional society and in modern society, but the societies which are in transition, there is a problem with role expectation. So basically Parsons identify the different roles in 5 dichotomies. Okay, so we are going to discuss about 5 pattern variables now. So pattern variables are presented in a dichotomous manner with 2 extremes. So the first one, ascription versus achievement. Second one, diffuseness versus specificity. Third one, affectivity versus, I will explain all this, these are very simple. Affective neutrality, you don't want to write too much about this. Affective neutrality, you just need only 1 or 2 lines from each of this. The main content we have already explained, what is pattern variable and everything we have explained, that's the most important part. Fourth one, particularism versus universalism. Fifth one, collective orientation versus self-orientation. Okay, so these are the 5 pattern variables which are discussed by Parsons, and you can see Parsons explain this in terms of 2 extremes, right? This is what I mean by dichotomous manner, and both shows the polar extremes, polar opposites. Hello, can you listen to me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
sorry,
Yes, sir.
where we got stuck in between?
This is my 5th point, sir.
Okay, 5th point, okay. I got a call in phone in between, so it got disconnected, I'm sorry. Okay, I will write it once more. So we were talking about 5 pattern variables. The first one, ascription versus achievement. So I will tell now itself what you mean by ascription versus achievement. It means you see or evaluate a particular person in terms of ascribed status or achievement status. Like you will evaluate a person in terms of his caste or religion or gender or all these aspects. These are values of society. So in traditional society, mostly ascribed status is more important, right? You will consider an upper caste person as supreme, you consider a male as supreme, right? So I hope you understood. So ascribed status is more important in traditional society, but in modern society, the achievement of the person, whether you are from backward community, whether you are from a backward caste, it doesn't matter. If you're an IAS officer, there is always, it will be appreciated, right? So achievement oriented is the new modern society. This is modern society. So traditional society is go with this, modern society will go with this. But societies like India, we still have a confusion whether we need to treat Brahmin, whether we need to give superiority to Brahmin or a doctor or an educated person. Still there are confusions here. So what I'm saying is the societies which are in transition, they will face this dilemma, and this dilemma can be understood in terms of a continuum. You cannot see any traditional society which is purely based on ascription. Similarly, no modern society which is purely based on achievement. Some form of mixed approach you will see. So any given society will fall any of this. So if this is the place, let's say this is traditional and this is modern, so this is close to ascription, or this is close to modern achievement. So no society which is completely based on achievement. Okay, there can be some consideration will be there with respect to others. Similarly, there is no society which is completely ascription based. You got this? So you can actually understand in terms of a continuum, and somewhere here it will fall, where the society will fall somewhere here. So that is what ascription versus achievement. Individuals' achievement matters here, but the birth or the caste, the such other parameters will matter in case of ascription. Any doubt here? Are we okay?
So you want to say only ascription will be applicable in the traditional society?
I did not say that. I said no traditional society is completely based on ascription. It will fall in any of this gap. It can be close to traditional, it can be close to modern, but no society is completely traditional or ascription based. No society is completely achievement based. Even if you talk about European society, it is not completely achievement based. So the polar extremes will not exist. You cannot.
Sir, it will be applicable in the modern society, right?
Which one?
This one, like it can't be totally traditional, or it can't be totally ascription based.
Even in traditional society, also achievement is considered as accepted. In traditional society also, nothing is completely based on ascription. If you get some achievement, that is accepted and appreciated also. So what I am saying is, there is no traditional society, or there is no society which is completely ascription based. There is no society which is completely achievement based. You need to understand this.
So can we say?
So
can we say that in traditional it's 90:10 ratio, and in modern 50-50, and then artificial 50-50, modern 10:90?
No, you just for the purpose of understanding, you can say it may be close to 90-10 or 80-20 like this. Here also 10-90, 20-80 like that. Here if you see, maybe 50-50 or 60-40 or 40-60 like this you can say. But nobody want you to put it in terms of numbers. In sociology, you don't want to use numbers, because this is clearly a qualitative discipline. We don't want to talk in terms of numbers. Okay. Next is diffuseness, like diffuseness versus specificity. It is like how the relations are managed, whether your relation are specific to the goal or is it diffused. Like if you talk to me or if your relation with me, is it only because of sociology you are with me or you are talking to me, or it is if that is the case, it is very specific. You are here because of the division of labor. I am here to teach sociology, so you are attending the classes and end of it. But that's not the case, right? It is more of diffused in nature. So we discuss many other things, even in phone also. So it is actually diffused. So if it is, I hope you understood what you mean by diffuseness. If it is specific, like for example, if you go to a shopkeeper, you go and get the things and you're coming back. That is related to specificity. That is where something like your goal is met. But if it is diffused, what will happen? You go to there, you talk to that person, you will ask him about his family, and they will also ask you about your family. So what we can say is traditional society was more of diffused in nature. Modern society is more of specific in nature. This is so much individualistic, modern society. But traditional society is more of collective oriented. So diffused. You got it? But again, there is no traditional society which is completely diffused, and there is no modern society which is completely specific. Is that okay? It's exactly the same thing that I have discussed. So this also has to be seen somewhere here in continuum. If you're talking about modern society, this will be close to here. Correct, no? Now the third one, if you go for, third is affectivity versus affective neutrality. So where we have before seen this affectivity, etc. Affective action we have discussed, right? We have discussed about affective action. So affective action we have to do with what? Emotions. So here also we are going to talk about emotions. So affectivity means, you talk with emotions, you treat people with emotions. Affective neutrality, if you see, emotionless or neutral in terms of emotion. For example, if you talk about a doctor example, if you take, he should be affective or affective neutral towards the patient. What do you say?
Affective neutral.
Affective neutral, because if he is affective to that person, he cannot do a surgery or he cannot do any procedure. So a doctor should be affective neutral to a patient. So that's the same concept. Emotion is there, but you have to be neutral. And in modern society, what you can see, affective neutrality, but in traditional society, affectivity is what you can see. So what I'm saying is, the traditional society have a clear preferences for ascription, diffuseness, affectivity, whereas modern society have a preference for achievement, specificity, affective neutrality. In the similar way, we can also talk about the other two, particularism versus universalism. Particularism means you can talk about particularistic value or universalistic value. So I can give an example, caste. When you judge a person or when you talk about caste, etc., these are particularistic value. When you talk about constitution, this is a universal value which is applicable to everyone, and you consider everyone as equal. So that's a universal value. Okay, so that's what you mean by particularism, universalism. So particularism is towards traditional society, universalism is towards modern society. But again, you can see in terms of a continuum only. Okay, traditional to modern, this continuum, it will fit somewhere. Next is, one more is there, collective orientation versus self-orientation. So what do you think about this? Now you can tell me, what is this? Who can explain this?
Collective orientation is related to traditional society.
This will be related to traditional.
To modern.
So you can say collective orientation and self-orientation is nothing but Parsons' concept of motivational orientation and value orientation, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, collective orientation means it is value related to value and society. Self-orientation means it is related to individual and motivation. So you can see in modern society more self-oriented, traditional society collective oriented. Collective conscience is important. Okay, in case of traditional society. So these are the 5 pattern variables that he have discussed, and he is saying that the traditional society have preferences for which among this? Traditional society have preferences for which one?
Collective orientation.
Like, you can start from here. Traditional society prefer ascription, diffuseness, affectivity, and this particularism and collective orientation. Whereas modern society will prefer achievement, specificity, affective neutrality, and these two, universalism and self-orientation. So that's about pattern variables, it's over. And what he's finally saying is, there is no society which is completely particularistic or universalistic. There is no society which is completely collective oriented or self-oriented. There is no society which is completely diffused or specific. There is no society which is completely ascription based or achievement based. So I hope you understood. There is no society which is completely following value. There is no society which is completely following the individual's own motivation. So you can understand these pattern variables in the form of a continuum. The person will stand somewhere here with respect to his choice towards any of this. So it can be in traditional society, it can be close to here, modern society close to here, societies in transition close to here, like that. Okay, if you have any doubt we can discuss, or we can move to the PDF now. Okay, can you see this?
Yes, sir.
So we'll go through the PDF now. According to Parsons, actions never occur in isolation, but in constellation. That is, every action forms part of a series of action which Parsons terms as action system. Okay, so that is what action system. These words are very important. In society, the system of action generally exists in the form of roles performed by an individual. It means that society develops roles as a system of action in order to achieve certain goals. So to achieve the goals, you have to perform certain roles. Okay? A role is vital link between individual and society, but while performing these roles, an actor may face dilemmas. These dilemmas are the result of actor's decision with respect to the use of motivational orientation and value orientation. In every society, there exist patterns which are distinct combination of these orientations, but different patterns are sometimes conflicting, resulting in dilemma. Conflicting means, I've told you already, these are whether you have to go with particularistic value or universal value, ascribed status or achievement status. Parsons called these patterns as pattern variables. Thus, individual faces dilemma with respect to the choice of pattern. Every society resolves this dilemma by defining role expectation. But in certain societies which are transitional, role expectations are not properly institutionalized. This is what I've told you about the societies like India, developing countries. The dilemmas are least in traditional and modern society, and maximum in those society which are making a transition from tradition to modern. Parsons mentioned 5 pattern variables or dilemmas faced by the individual in society. The pattern variables has been presented in a dichotomous manner, each one of which represent polar extremes. In actual society, these polar extremes exist in the form of continuum. You understood what you mean by this continuum? I told you, although you're talking about, two extremes like traditional and modern, but there are no society which is completely traditional, there are no society which is completely modern. So you cannot say completely ascribed or completely achievement based also. Okay? So it has to be seen in terms of continuum. We can say any society like US, if you're talking about, it is close to modern. Some other society is talking about, it is close to traditional. India is in between, like that you can say. So no society is completely modern, no society is completely traditional. So these are the 5 pattern variables: ascription versus achievement, diffuseness versus specificity, affectivity versus affective neutrality, particularism versus universalism, collective orientation versus self-orientation. Okay, now ascription versus achievement. It refers to actors' judgment of others in a situation. Either the judgment can be done in terms of ascriptive attributes or on the basis of achievement attribute. See, a Dalit person, if a Dalit, even after becoming an IAS officer, some people won't respect him. Okay, they consider what? Ascribed status, not achievement status. But some other people will respect him irrespective of the caste. Right? So that is what? Achievement oriented. Like that. Diffuseness versus specificity. It refers to dilemmas regarding range of demands from a particular relationship. It also involves the nature of obligation generated in the interaction process. It can either specific taking into consideration the goal, or it can be diffused, widening its range irrespective of goal. So it can be diffused also. Affectivity versus affective neutrality. It refers to amount of emotions considered appropriate in an interaction process. Neutrality denotes least emotions and affectivity the most. For example, doctor-patient relation. I hope you understood that. Particularism versus universalism. It refers to standards of values used in any evaluation in an interaction situation. Particularism refers to taking into consideration traditional beliefs, and universalism refers to modern and rational value system. For example, caste values are particularistic, whereas constitutional values are universalistic. Collective orientation versus self-orientation. It refers to orientation of an actor with respect to his own self-interest or collective obligation. It manifests itself in whether the individual action is oriented towards the self, if it is for you, or the society. Soldier fighting in battlefield, it is related to which orientation? Collective orientation. You are preparing for the exam. Which orientation? Self-orientation. Okay?
Self-orientation.
According to Parsons, traditional society has a specific set of preferences for patterns like ascription, diffuseness, particularism, affectivity, collective orientation when it comes to traditional society. On the other hand, modern society, achievement, specificity, neutrality, universalism, and self-orientation. These patterns are again, this is a key word here, these are again ideal types, and the pure form may or may not exist. So two places we have discussed about ideal type, which is used by Parsons. Where all? When we discussed about action, we have discussed about 3 ideal type. In pattern variable also he is discussing about ideal type. So that is the influence of Weber. Okay. For example, it is almost impossible to find a modern society which is purely based on achievement. Similarly, it is difficult to find a traditional society which is purely based on ascription. Thus dichotomy of pattern variable must be seen in a continuum.
Can we say that this is the ideal type of dilemmas?
Which one?
So pattern variables are the ideal type of dilemmas.
Ideal types of dilemmas that individual will face in any situation.
Okay.
Okay, now let's proceed further. This is actually the introduction for tomorrow's discussion. Yes.
Can we say that pattern variables can help us to identify the structure of social system and their characteristics?
Yes. Pattern variables, if there is a preference for these pattern variables, means it is an indication of a traditional society, and this means indication of modern society. So pattern variable can actually help in identifying the structure of the society or the nature of the society.
Yes, sir.
Whether it is a traditional society or a modern society, you can say, based on the preferences towards the patterns.
Okay, sir.
So this we can see now, action does not occur in isolation but in constellation, and Parsons called this as action system. The same paragraph, same line. At this level, Parsons conceptualizes the social, physical, and mental realities as constituting different parts. So what Parsons says is, in case of action system, there are different parts. So these are the different parts. There is a social part, there is a physical part, and there is a mental part. Okay, we'll discuss in detail. In this context, each part is seen as taking an action, thus forming an action system. Okay, thus in the case of social system, action taken by individuals. In the social system, actions are taken, we all are taking an action. But in case of other systems, like if you talk about a fan or if you talk about an AC, all these are different systems. There the functions performed are the parts. So in case of society, who's performing the action? Individual, because individual is a part of society. So if you compare the parts of any system, in case of society, individual is the part. So individual perform the action. So individual will perform the action. Okay. Now, Parsons mentioned 4 types of action systems: cultural system, social system, personality system, organismic system. According to him, every system constitutes of these 4 dimensions. So if you talk about social system or any system, economic system or political system, these 4 dimensions will be there. Cultural system means what? Cultural system means it is a complex of norms and values. Social system means the interaction between parts. Okay, the interaction that happens between parts is the social system. Personality system means what? The internal aspect, the mental aspect. Organismic system means the physical aspect. Okay, so here what I am saying is, there is a physical aspect, you can see here, there is a physical aspect, there is a mental aspect, that is a personality aspect, and this is a social aspect, norms and values. Okay, and there is an interaction also. So these are the 4 aspects of action system, and that can be understood in terms of these 4: cultural system, social system, personality system, organismic system. So why it is slightly complex is because within action system, he is talking about these four systems. That's why you may face some difficulty in understanding it now, but tomorrow it will be more clear when we discuss about social system. So here under action system we are talking about four systems: cultural system, social system, personality system, and organismic system. So I've already told you, you can consider society as a system. If you consider society as a system, what do you mean by cultural system? Okay, wait 1 second. If you consider the society as a system, so you can see here cultural system means what? The complex of norms and values. So what is a cultural system? It is the normative order of society, right? Norms and values, normative order of society. What about social system? We have discussed here. Social system means interaction between parts. In society, what do you mean by parts? Who are the parts? Individuals. So social system is actually the interaction between individuals. Personality system means what? It is the internal aspects, right? So that is the appropriate mental status of the individual. Mental status of the individual who is participating in the action. Organismic system means what? These are the parts. You can see here physical aspect, that is the individuals. So this is an example of society. Now more we will see tomorrow. So here cultural system is basically, this paragraph is what you need to know. You can read this once again and you will understand it, and with that understanding you will proceed further. Cultural system, nothing but norms and values. Social system, it's about interaction. Personality system, that is the internal aspect. And then organismic system, that is the external or the physical aspect. So when it comes to society, the external aspects are the individual, internal aspect are the individual's emotions, etc. So social system is actually the interaction between individuals, and then cultural system is actually the norms and values. So if you consider our class as a system, let's suppose our class as a system. So what do you mean by the organismic system within this class? What do you mean by that? Organismic system include the physical aspects.
Laptop, mobiles.
No. These are the individuals. Individuals. Okay, these are the individuals. What about personality system?
Individual thoughts, needs.
Individual's mindset. All of us have certain thoughts and emotions and feelings, etc. So the mindset of the individual. What about social system? Social system. Interaction between we people, right? So it's about interaction. And what about cultural system?
Rules, norms.
The rules and regulations that we are following during the class. So this is nothing but the norms, values, etc. of the class. So that's how we can identify class as a system. So any system if you take, even if you take any system, these four things will be there. Okay. So for example, you are talking about AC. AC is not a living system, but not like society, but still you can consider like this. There will be these four systems within air conditioner. Like organismic system are the parts. Personality system is the way it is working, okay, the way it is pre-programmed. The social system is the interaction between the parts. Cultural system is also related to the arrangement and everything. So anything can be seen in terms of these four according to Parsons. Now we will discuss this system theory tomorrow in detail, but have an idea about what all things we have discussed today. Then you will not face any problem tomorrow. It will be very simple. Yeah, any doubts?
One thing apart from the lecture.
Yeah.
So sir, what is this app thing? Like, will we be able to access all the lectures that you have given?
Yes, you will be getting all the lectures, but the problem is right now iOS is not there. It is only in Android, and now I have added almost all of you. Few people I'm not able to add. I don't know why. I need to check that. So some maintenance is there, so that's why I stopped it for some time. Tomorrow it will start working by tomorrow evening. So for some maintenance app, this iOS I will do it in 1 or 2 weeks. Right now only in Android, so iOS I'll arrange that.
Okay, sir.
The one thing.
Yes.
Is it only the role? Is the only factor through which an individual is connected to the society? Don't we have any other factors?
Which one? I didn't get you.
Sir, as you said in the beginning of the lecture, that the role is the factor through which an individual is connected to the society. So my question is, only the role is the factor, single factor, or any other such factors are there through which an individual is connected to the society? But I believe a relation is also there through which individuals are connected. Because see, when we are making friends with others, at that time they are from other families, other groups, but we are connected, right? We are having some additional relation, so we can say through relation also we can connect to the society, being an individual.
There's nothing but roles only. The relations and even the father-mother relation is also the roles performed by the father and mother. Even the child is also performing the role of the child. So if that relation is based on roles, then what about friendship relation?
Sir, actually your voice is breaking. I'm not able to.
No, I'm saying even the relations are also based on certain roles only. Even the father-mother relations are based on roles. Father role, mother role, okay, or the child role is there. So all these relations are based on roles. Everything is based on certain roles that you're supposed to perform. You're supposed to perform the father's role, mother's role. So the action that you're doing is corresponding to this role. Here also you're doing that actions. Otherwise there won't be any connection.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, Arun, tell me.
Sir, under pattern variables, you have said that these pattern variables exist in the form of continuum.
Yes,
and
yes.
it will not be in extremes, like that you are saying.
Yes, yes.
But in the PDF, at one particular line, I saw that it exists in dichotomous manner in polar extremes.
It is given in
that according to the
no. It is the pattern variables has been presented in dichotomous manner. Parson gave it in dichotomous manner, and Parson ultimately said that it won't be in extremes. For the purpose of understanding, it is given in terms of extremes.
So still I didn't get it.
No, see here the word which I have used is Parson mentioned 5 pattern variables or dilemmas, and the pattern variables has been presented in dichotomous manner, each one of which represent the polar extreme. So it has been presented in dichotomous manner, but that doesn't mean that it exists in dichotomous manner. Like this is completely value oriented, this is completely achievement oriented. But in actual reality, when we speak, we can say that this is 100%, this is 100% motivational, and this is 100% value. But actual reality, it may be varying 90, 10, 50, 50, like that you can see.
So just for the sake of understanding, here
it is for understanding, it is for representation purpose. He have identified the extremes and named it in terms of extremes.
So he also said that it does not exist in a polar form also.
It doesn't exist in terms of extremes. Even you, for example, if you talk about any society today, you cannot say any society is completely modern. Similarly, there are no societies which are completely traditional.
My doubt is that was that said by Parsons?
Yes.
Was that
It was said by Parson.
Okay. Sir.
Parson presented in dichotomous manner, and he ultimately said these are again ideal types. You have to combine everything. Also, there won't exist any extremes. It has to be seen in terms of continuum.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
So I have a doubt.
Tell me.
Hello?
Yeah, tell me.
So as Parsons says that no society is perfectly modern or traditional.
Yes.
So a modern, it is not perfectly modern, that is acceptable because every society was once traditional. But there could be some society which is at present also traditional also, no?
But on what basis you will say that society is traditional? When you think from that society's perspective, it is modern, because if there is any rational thought, if there is any rational ideas are there, then it is considered as modern. What perspective you will say it is traditional, or in what perspective you will say a society is modern. So that is why we cannot completely conclusively say something is X and something is Y in sociology. That is the reason.
Okay.
We never go to extremes in case of qualitative approach or social sciences. We don't want to go to extremes. We won't do that.
Okay.
And it is better you have to use those kinds of words in your paper. Never use any extreme words. Whenever you are writing also, you should never use will, should, must, etc. These words should never be there in your answers also, actually. Even in your GS, your these papers, you should, sociology especially, you should never use these words. I should not see again if you're writing, I'm telling it now. You should not use these words. Will, should, must. These strong tone words, you should not use it.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, under the types of pattern variable, the fifth one, collective orientation versus self-orientation. Can we say self-orientation is utilitarianism?
Utilitarianism. Yes.
Okay.
Anything else? So tomorrow we will discuss this part again, this action system part again, and then we will move on to the theory of social system. It will be very easy. Today you may face some difficulty with the first part. Second part, when we discuss, things will be more clear. Okay, can we stop here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.